All right, it is my pleasure today to welcome to the show former head coach of the Villanova Wildcats, two-time national champs, was also a member of the 2020 staff for the United States men's national team that won the gold medal that year. Jay Wright joined us on the show. Jay, what is going on?
Good to see you, my man. Last time we were together, we were out in the Bay Area. Now we're split by the coast, but good to be with you, buddy.
Yeah, that's the first time I've been on a coach with a court. They didn't tell me to get on the line and run. So I was very happy.
and actually listen to you. I was interested in your thoughts out there instead of telling you what to do.
Believe me, I got it from Luton Nelly plenty. I'm like, I'm done with that life. Done with that life.
You were amazed that I was actually asking you questions on what did you do in this situation? What would you do?
Yeah, never happened.
You weren't used to that on the court.
No, Nelly didn't give a crap what I care. He didn't care. He's like, I'm not going to ask you. Do what I tell you to do. I'm like, look, I'm good with that. Just as long as I'm getting minutes, I'm pretty happy. Before we get to the games themselves, I want to ask you about something that Tom Izzo addressed yesterday, which I didn't even know existed, and I was like shaking my head to find out that it did. The transfer portal's open during the NCAA tournament. And I understand we want to get this thing going and, the kids want to get to their new places and all that. But can't we delay it a few weeks and let March Madness take center stage and leave the portal till after? I mean, is that too much to ask? Is it too hard? Or do you think they should do that?
Yeah, definitely, Tom. We're in an era where the NCAA has lost so many, almost every court case that they've been involved in, that they're just fearful to make any rules that they just think they're going to get sued and lose again. So they're making every rule completely in the favor of the players, which a lot of times is not even really in their best interest. I think they're just making rules now so they don't get sued and lose another court case, because it's crazy right now. I mean, there's some guys that are playing that are on teams, especially in the NIT, CBI, that are already in the transfer portal, and they're going to some are going to play for the team, some are not, and in even up until a few years ago, the recruiting period wouldn't start until after the Final Four, because we had the coaches convention at the Final Four. So the NABC wanted to have the coaches at the convention, right? So they knew if they had a recruiting period and the guys had a choice to be at the convention or recruiting, they'd be recruiting. So they made the recruiting rules such that you can't go out on the road until the Wednesday after the Final Four. I think they should do the same thing with the transfer portal now, because you can't have guys, and there are guys on these teams that are playing right now that are being contacted.
Yep.
It's just, it's ridiculous. It really is.
I wonder if there's going to be someone who's playing against a team, either in the NCAA, CBI, which I still think is hilarious, or the NIT, that transfers to the team they're playing against this weekend.
It could be, man. It could be.
It's wild. It really is, though, Jay. It's just it's a whole different frontier. What do you think about 78 teams? I think 68's more than enough. I know they want more games, and I know everybody's looking for ways to make more money. So to make more money, add a few more games. I mean, that's what the NBA has done with the play-in. They didn't need the play-in game. It's just, hey, let's give the more cities more of a chance to get to the playoffs than we do. We can capitalize and have a week-long play-in game, kind of single elimination almost style format, and it draws ratings. And that's fine. I mean, I get it. But this is another one of those where it's like, you don't need this. We don't need 10 more teams in the NCAA tournament. If you want to just come out and say we need more money, then okay, and go ahead and do it. But to me, it's like, I don't want to say useless, but we don't need it.
I'm okay if we go to 76. I'm okay. I mean, obviously, I think it's great the way it is. If we go to 76, I'm okay, because it doesn't affect all of the teams that are not playing, that would not play on Tuesday and Wednesday, where, you talk about the NBA. By setting up those playing games, you have other teams that are not playing for a long period of time at the end of the season, and you're out of your rhythm. And I just wouldn't want that to happen, because if you went past 76, then you'd have to increase the length of the tournament, which I think would affect the quality of play. Having gone through this tournament and played 6 games, you're exhausted by that point in the season, playing 6 games there in 3 weeks. And if it lengthened the tournament and forced teams that got what would become double buys to sit out for that period of time, I think you lose the juice in the tournament. So I wouldn't want to add any more days. If we added 4 more games or 2 more games each day, right, which would be 8 teams, I could live with it.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the matchups this weekend. It's interesting because there's no Cinderellas. Like, the Slipper's gone and she's back cleaning the floors, and it's just like it's all the elites at the party now, which is fine by me. I mean, I love Cinderella, but give me all the big boys getting after it. And I'm good with that too. The games this weekend are going to be fantastic. Well, let's start with my guys, Arizona, going against Duke, who is maybe the most complete team in the country. Now, the one thing I think Arizona has going for them is they played Duke earlier this year and lost to them by 15 in Tucson. So I think that's always a good motivator. And I think Caleb Love is such a barometer for that team, because if his shot selection is good, he's usually pretty stable and he gives you a good, efficient effort. Sometimes the shot selection gets a little wonky. And then other than Delorso, they really can't shoot from the outside. But how do you go down slowing down Duke with Cooper Flagg's? Like, I mean, that guy's he's amazing, but he's not all they have.
Yeah, you're right. And to address your point about Cinderella, it's kind of crazy to think about. The Cinderella is Arkansas.
Yeah, exactly.
The twin seed. I mean, that's your Cinderella. And I think that's where we're going to see this tournament going in the future, with NIL, the strength of the Big Ten and the Big 12 and the SEC. And I think the ACC will get it going, and so will the Big East. But I think you're going to see all these other leagues are going to be one bid leagues, and you might catch like Colorado State was good enough. They were literally good enough to beat Maryland. I mean, they make the shot. Maryland's got to hit his shot. Derek Queen's got to hit a shot at the buzzer.
Yeah, amazing shot.
A team or two like that once in a while, but I think this is what we're going to see the tournament to be in the future. To your point, the big boys going at it, which is really what we all love. But you do early in the tournament, you like the Cinderella.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
I coached at Hofstra, and I was a mid-major guy, so I get it. You got to have a part of it. But I think it's going to be more this way, which is great basketball. And to talk about your Wildcats, this is really interesting to me for some of the points that you mentioned, that they did play Duke. And I don't think Arizona was yet the complete team that they are now. And I agree. And I don't think Duke was either. Duke was still young too. But I think Duke was a little bit more settled in who they were at that time. And if I was Tommy Lloyd, I would look at my team right now and know that I've got a way to play them. Arizona is a pretty physical team. And I've been interested in your point, Tom, if you would have considered – I never considered Arizona teams to be real physical. I consider them to be talented and not soft, just really talented, athletic, skilled team with Toby Awaka, Trey Townsend, Bradley Love, KJ Lewis. Like these guys are physical, man, and
get after you.
And I would dirty this game up, man. I would take Duke into the mud, and what I mean by that is just drive it at them, be physical, keep them. offensively keep them out of the paint, make them shoot jumpers over us, be physical on
Mm-hmm.
their drives, offensive rebound on them like Arizona can do, and and just try to steal one in the end. I think they have a chance to do that, and they've played them before, so they're not going to be. It's not going to take them time to adjust to their length. I think when you play Duke this year,
Yeah,
their length is so the average size of their players is 6'8". So I think Arizona's got a shot, and Duke's obviously the team that's playing the best right now. But I think Arizona's got a shot if they play that way, and Caleb Love gets hot.
If Arkansas is your Cinderella, that's like having Sofia Vergara be your Cinderella. That's a pretty good Cinderella. That's that's an impressive Cinderella. All right, let's talk about the track meet. BYU Bama. This thing is going to be like watching a ping pong match, because I knew the Wisconsin game would be fast as well, because that's what Wisconsin's not. Your father's Wisconsin. It's like new style getting a race car Wisconsin. Well, Bama's that, and then energized even a little bit more for those that haven't watched Bama. But that thing, it could be first one to 90 wins this one, and it wouldn't surprise me if somebody goes over 100 if they start hitting some threes. But how do you break this one down? I know it's going to be a really fun game to watch. I can't wait to see how this one unfolds.
You're right, man. These are two explosive offenses, and neither one of them is afraid to go up and down with anybody. So, we've seen BYU during a Big 12 season. Alabama, we all know, they don't care who they're going to go up and down with. Auburn, they're going to go up and down with Kentucky. They believe in it. And what Alabama did against Drake, right? Drake was their last game.
St. Mary's.
St. Mary's. I'm saying I knew it was somebody's son. Their ability to impact the pace of that game, that's so hard to do. As we know, when you slow a game down, that's kind of easier to do. But their ability to push that pace was so impressive to me. And BYU can do the same thing. What's interesting to me about BYU is, and again, I'm kind of an East Coast guy. I don't follow that as much.
Yeah.
But again, you never thought of them as a tough physical team. But that kid, Richie Saunders, gets to the foul line as well.
Yeah,
big guy. He's a tough son of a gun, man. He is physical at the guard spot.
Yeah.
And Yegor Demon, even though he's 6'9" and kind of wiry, he gets to the foul line.
Yeah.
They are a scrappy physical team. And I give Alabama a little bit of the edge offensively, but I think the physical nature and the scrappiness of BYU can keep them in it, and they can score with Alabama. So I give BYU a shot in this game.
Who were you I don't want to go through all the games, but who were you most impressed with when you saw the way they played this weekend? Obviously, I've said Houston now can score, which makes them extremely scary, because Houston's always been able to defend under Kelvin Sampson. Bunch of junkyard dogs out there. They'd throw it up and go get it and just keep going getting it and then wear you down with their physicality. Well, now they can shoot. Now they got guys on the team that can score. It's like, well, now they've become really scary because they can do both. I've been a fan of Texas Tech. I know they have a few injuries. I'm not sure if McMillan's going to play, but I've been a fan of them as well. But they're just these big heavyweights now, and I'm just wondering how you see the rest of the field and like who you were impressed with over the first weekend. Because I think Houston and Florida were my two that I was going to pick. Because look, Jay, I'm a West Coast guy. I can't pick Duke. There's not a chance in hell I'm picking Duke. I don't care if somebody told me Duke was going to win. I wouldn't pick Duke. I can't do it. It's not inside me. I have my biases like everybody else. Who'd you see this weekend that you thought this team's rounding into shit? They're playing really good ball right now.
Well, Florida is the team to me, and the way they handled UConn, I thought UConn came out with a great game plan, executed it perfectly. Florida missed some free throws early in the game, turned the ball over a couple times. Looks like looked like they felt a little bit of the pressure of being the 1 seed, which I have felt that pressure in the second round game. When I was coaching, you play that first round game, you play great, and it's kind of easy, and every shot's going in. You're not turning the ball over, and all of a sudden, you play that second game, you get an 8-9 team that just smacks you in the face. And I remember we lost. We were the number 1 overall seed. We lost to NC State one time in a game like that. I had a shot to win it at the end, but we didn't make it. And I love the way Florida handled that, and how Walter Clayton Jr. at the end took over.
Big shots.
Yeah, like a big time guard. And they got a couple offensive rebounds on foul shots that I thought were big, big turning points in the game, where a team that's going to win it has to have a guy or two like that that's got the guts. The 2 shots that Walter Clayton Jr. made at the end of the game were not
those were stones. No, they were not.
and getting those offensive rebounds against UConn, who's a tough physical team, at the end of the game shows that they got some toughness to them, and they've got some commitment to doing the dirty work to win. So they really impressed me. But you mentioned Houston earlier, and I kind of feel like we're getting bored with Houston, because I don't know how many games they've won in a row, but they haven't lost since they lost in kind of a crazy game against Texas Tech at home. And the point that you make about them shooting the ball, they're one of the top 3-point shooting teams in the country. You don't talk about it because defensively they're so dominant. And in Juwan Roberts, they've got a guy that they can go to inside that can make plays. It doesn't look pretty, but he can make plays, and he can kick the ball out if he gets double teamed. He's a good decision maker. And LJ Cryer, Emmanuel Sharp, Milos Uzan, all 3 of those guards shoot it and can go get their own shot. So they're probably the 2 most impressive teams to me, other than Duke. But we really haven't seen Duke play the highest level teams yet.
Auburn, and that's a team I've seen limited amounts of time this year. Broom's obviously very, very good. Mazar Baker is kind of like the lightning rod for that team. Like, he just kind of is up and he's down, and sometimes he's there, sometimes he gets kicked out. Who knows? But they got some really good players on that team. I just haven't seen them enough. And like I said, I was most impressed with Houston and Florida. But where does Auburn fit into this? Because I know at the end of the season, maybe not playing their best ball, but hey, you've won 2 games. That's over with now. You're not worried about the end of the season. You're worried about now. So maybe they got their confidence back. But where do you see their path? They got Michigan this weekend.
Well, I've kind of gone with chalk this year, just because I think the three teams that we just talked about, Duke, Florida, and Houston, I just think they're a little step above everybody, and they've all got depth enough to endure foul trouble, endure a bad shooting night from 1 or 2 guys. And then I've got Auburn winning it for the same reason, and just feeling like they're a little bit above the other 3 in that their depth up front, Janai Broome and Dylan Cardwell, and they got the other big guy. They got another big guy up front that's really tough. They've got great guard depth. Denver Jones, Miles Kelly. Denver Jones, one of the best perimeter defenders in the country. Chad Baker Mazara, like you said, is. I think the close games that they lose, he gets kicked out of the game. Like, he's got to stay in the game. He's a great defender. And Tahad Pettiford, the freshman,
I like him,
is one of their top scorers. And he's a guy at the end of the game they've gone to that can just go get his own shot and make big shots. So they've got the depth in that they've got a lot of shooters. They've got a lot of depth up front. They've got a lot of playmakers, and they've got a lot of really talented defensive players. I picked them to go through. And as you mentioned, they struggled a little bit at the end of the season, which you don't want to do, but it kind of brings you back to reality and makes you hungry again, and allows the coach to kind of get in your head again. It gives you some humility going forward, as opposed to these teams like Houston, Duke, who haven't lost in a long time, when you get deep into the tournament and you get down in a second half and you think like, damn, like we haven't been here in a long time. It's a little different.
I'm going to put the electrodes on you and give you a lie detector test and see if you answer this honestly. Is there any coach you're rooting for this time of year that's still in the tournament?
I am. You know who I was really rooting for? Mike Woodson at Indiana, and I thought they really got a tough deal not being in. I thought they should have been in the tournament. I kind of felt like over Texas, maybe and over Carolina, but I just wanted him to make the tournament his last year. But I would like to see guys like Kelvin Sampson, Bruce Pearl, Rick Barnes, guys who have not won a national championship, who have been consistently outstanding coaches. And we all know, like, having won it, I know some people have asked me, like, all right, once you won it, does it make it easier that you understand what you have to do? To me, it made me even more humble to realize the breaks we got along the way.
Yeah.
That you need to get to win it. You still need to be great, and you need to be totally committed, and you need to excel in your execution, but you got to get some breaks too. So I'd like to see those guys have had good enough teams to do it, and they've had some tough breaks. I'd like to see one of them get it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I always find myself rooting for Izzo just because I look at him and I go, I would have liked to. I think I would have liked to have played for him. He's like my era kind of, even though he coaches now, and he didn't really coach in my era. That was Jed Heathcote. That was back there when I was playing college ball. But I just like the way he coaches, a no nonsense approach, and just like I think he's a guy that I probably would have enjoyed playing for. So I always kind of feel like I want to root for Izzo. All right, let me ask you this, because my team was UCLA when I was at Arizona. I hated losing to UCLA. Like it killed me, Jay, to lose to UCLA. I grew up in Southern California. It was all UCLA growing up. They had, Walton and 88 game win streak. And I just didn't like UCLA. Maybe because everybody else liked them, I didn't like them, but and they didn't recruit me. So I couldn't stand UCLA. I hated losing to UCLA.
What a shocker that is.
Is there a team as a coach that you hated losing to?
Yeah, I'll answer your question because I know where you're going with it. But honestly, when I was coaching, I hated losing to everybody. Like, I hated losing, and I remember, when I was younger in coaching, some older coaches telling me, I'm at a point in my career where I hate losing far more than I enjoy winning. And I thought, that's weird. I thought that's weird, but I got that point at the end of my career. But probably the team that I hated losing to the most, and as I say, I hated all of them, but was probably UConn, because in the beginning, when we first got the job at Villanova, Jim Calhoun was coaching there. They were winning national championships, and that was kind of the model that you knew that was who you had to overcome to be successful. And then finally, when we did, then you never wanted to lose to them again. So when you did, it would kill you.
Yeah.
But I didn't hurt on all of them.
This is the crazy part, and I've talked to a bunch of athletes about this and coaches, is that when you win, it's almost a relief. When you lose, it's agonizing. And everybody remembers their worst defeats better than their best wins. Like, even if you win a championship, like I talked to Steve Young, he'll say he can remember the NFC championship games they lost against Cowboys with far more clarity than all the wins that they had, maybe even the Super Bowl win. It's I don't know what it is about, people that play at a high level and coach at a high level, but how do you deal with that as a coach? Because you want to have some jubilation after you win, and like if you're not, then why is it why am I doing this? I can't even enjoy it. And then when I lose, I'm in agony until I get a chance to go feel relief again. Like it doesn't equate. Like the wins are here at this joy level, and the losses are here at this pain level. So I'm like, why do these guys do this?
I agree, man. I feel like as I look back on it, I have time to ponder these things. When I was in it, I was just in the agony that you're talking about constantly. And then as soon as you win a game, it will be relief for a day. And then you're worrying about losing the next game. But I feel like things balance out, because when you're early in your career and you haven't won yet, you really do appreciate the winning. And the losing doesn't, I mean, it hurts you, but you kind of you're more
resilient.
That drive to say it can inspire you. Like, okay, we got blown out by that team last year. We only lost by 5. We're getting better. We're going to get there when you early in your career, but you're not having the success yet. And so you can really enjoy the wins. You know, you're on top of the world. And after you win that big game, you think you're going to win the next game. And then you don't realize yet you're not good enough and you're going to get crushed. But when the price you have to pay for success, which is worth it. And you see Danny Hurley went through it this year. Like, once you win a championship, then every other year that you don't win it is just misery. If you don't feel like you're on the path to do it and you don't do it, I think it's the trade-off of the price you have to pay for success, which, I would tell our guys all the time, nobody cares. Like, don't you won a championship and we're pissed that we got beat in the Sweet 16. Don't complain, because nobody cares. 80% of the people could care less, and the other 20% are happy we lost. So don't share it with anybody.
There's no doubt about that. All right, before I let you go, let me get a couple oddball questions from you. Do you remember your favorite dish that your mom used to make growing up?
Oh yeah, easy. Spaghetti and meatballs, man. That was my favorite.
That was the one?
Oh yeah. My mom made great spaghetti and meatballs. Loved it.
How often did you get there? Was that a once a week staple?
Yeah, about. But like, when it was our birthday and we could ask for, she would make us our favorite meal. That'd be my favorite meal.
Okay. Is there one she made that you thought, oh no, not that one?
Yeah, my dad loved meatloaf. I hated it. And
so did I.
And it was his birthday. That's what he wanted, to have meatloaf and mashed potatoes. I'd be like, oh, man.
Oh, that is such a old school diner thing to serve meatloaf and mashed potatoes.
Oh yeah. And my dad was such a simple dude, man. I was like, that just make him happy.
My dad was pinto. My dad grew up in Alabama, so my dad was pinto beans with a ham hock in it and cornbread. And he would take the cornbread, he'd crush it up, put it in a glass, and then pour milk on it. Oh. And I was like, I kept thinking to myself, I go, if that doesn't say country, nothing does. Nothing says country.
That's beautiful, man.
All right. What's the most trouble you got into as a kid, and what punishment did your parents give you for it?
When I was, I wasn't a saint, so that's why I was on top of my players. That's why I was on top of my players all the time. I would tell them, like, given free time, it's proven you're 18 and 22. It's proven you're going to make bad decisions. So I'm not giving you any free time. I'm going to be on top of you to save you from yourself, because I did it all. Probably the first time my mom caught me drinking beer and I was getting sick, and she was next to me saying, here, she opened a can of beer as I was getting sick and give it to me. Say, here, drink this. Drink this now. You think you like this? All right, drink this now. My mom was tough. There's a place in Philadelphia, in North Philly, with the rough section called Kensington and Allegheny. They call it K&L. Okay. I remember my dad, when my mom would do stuff like that, my dad would say, you could take the girl out of K&A, but you can't take the K&A out of the girl. And we were always afraid when she went K&A, we were in trouble.
Oh, when she went K&A. Oh, mom's going K&A. Look out. Oh, I bet you didn't like that beer much, did you, when you were throwing up?
Hell no. I'm not a great beer drinker to this day, probably because of that.
You're more of a wine guy.
I am. I like beer like after golf when it's cold outside. Inside, I'm more of a wine drinker.
Yeah, see, you and me, that's where our paths are not running parallel. You're more of a wine guy, and I live in one of the best wine regions in the world.
Yeah.
I just don't. Yeah, I just don't. I don't like wine. Hey, before you run, I wondered. Now you've told this story. You told me this story, and you can tell me. We can edit this if we want to, but I love the story that you told me about when you were at Hofstra and outside the garden to get the tickets.
So glad.
Now, is that something you can share or no?
Yeah, I can now. I think I
don't want to get anybody in trouble, even though you're not even coaching anymore.
7 years, I think I'm 7 years past. I think I'm safe. We recruited a kid from Indiana, and he was coming in from Indiana. So we were at Hofstra, which is, New York Knicks country, and the Knicks were really good back then. Pat Riley was the coach. Ernie Grunfeld was the GM, and we didn't think the kid would be a Knicks fan. So he came in. He said on his visit, "I want to go to the Knicks." And Knicks were in the playoffs, and we were thinking like, who would think the kid would be a Knicks fan? So we didn't have any tickets, and I asked my assistant Tom Pecor to get the kid. Said the kid's name was actually Mike Renfro, great kid, and he said, "Yeah, we'll get you." And I said, "How are we going to get him in?" He goes, "Don't worry about it." So we got on the train, went into Madison Square Garden, and this guy comes up to us in fatigues and a beard, and we're like, "What are you doing?" And he goes, "Hey, Jay, Tommy." Turns out it's one of our buddies who's an undercover cop for Midtown South in Manhattan. He goes, "What are you guys doing here?" And my Tom Pecor, who grew up with him, my assistant, who's now the head coach of Quinnipiac, said, "Hey, we got to get these guys into the Knicks game." He goes, "No problem." He goes over and grabs a scalper, and he goes, give me 4 tickets or you're going to jail." He takes the 4 tickets from the scalper, gives them to us. We give them to the kids. They go into the game on the recruiting visit. Tom and I are going back in the train, and I'm going, I don't know, Tom. You think that's an NCAA violation? I don't know. He goes, "NCAA violation? Forget about it. It's a felony."
That made you feel even better. Oh, that must have been a long train ride home. Long train.
It turns out there's nothing. We could get the kid tickets. We were allowed to have them go to the game, just no matter how we got them.
Yeah.
So I think it turned out all right.
Well, what's funny is like all these things that everybody looks at kind of, like with a side eye 5 years ago, then nobody even cares anymore. No way. It's just like, oh, that's like, okay, it's legal now, and everybody gets a pass for it. And I really don't care, but it's just so different now that like the whole money aspect and all I would say is this, Jay, I want the kids to get the money. I think they deserve the money. I just wish they would sign a contract. I wish it would be like for a year or 2 years, so we know you're not bouncing around just looking to better deal up every single year. I mean, coaches can leave, but players should be able to leave, but they'd have to break their contract to do it. And then you get one free transfer unless your coach leaves. After that, you got to sit out a year like you used to. But I just think there's too much now where guys are playing for 3 different schools in 3 years. And yeah, they're getting, maybe more money and better deals. But I don't know in the long run if it's really going to serve the players. It may serve them in the short term, but I don't think they're looking long term. And maybe someone looking out for the players should be looking out for long term.
I agree, Tom. And one of the things that no one is addressing that I really feel strongly about is we have to have contracts, and the contracts have to be connected to academics. One of the greatest things that college athletics do, every sport, and we're the only country in the world that does it. And it's why all these guys from all these international countries want to come, men and women want to come to the United States to play college athletics, is to get an education. And the use of academics to inspire young people at an age where they are not mature enough to understand all the time the advantages of having an education, to use it connected to athletics. Once they get there, they realize, wow, this is really good for me. We're really becoming just another pro sports league if we don't connect this to academics. And it provides our country with development of outstanding leaders who competed, maybe didn't get paid, but competed, failed, were members of teams, made it through adversity. You know, next to the military, it's our greatest proving ground for future leaders. And not connecting, if we don't keep this connected to academics, we're going to lose, I think, one of the great training grounds in the world for leaders, which is college athletics.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think that's a good point. Hey, have safe travels. You're going to be on Thursday through Sunday again this weekend, CBS?
Yeah. Yep, Thursday,
or
Friday,
True.
Thursday, Friday, Atlanta, Saturday, Sunday in New York.
Okay. I remember when the tourney first came to TBS, TNT, and True. I still remember I was looking for one of the tournament games, and it was on after the Johnny Cochran hour on True TV. I go, what the hell's going on here? Tournaments on True TV. What is this? You got Judge Judy on one side and Johnny Cochran on the other side, and like Alabama, St. Louis on in the middle. Oh my God, this is bizarre. But no, so I real quick, I need to get a run. How do you like just sit? Because you got to bounce around from game to game, right? You may do like at halftime, then right into the next halftime, then right into the next halftime. Yeah. I mean, it's got to take a little stamina to get all that done.
It does. Thursday and Friday are incredible. We literally come into the studio about 9:30 in the morning. The games start, and we tape some things before the noon game. And we, no exaggeration, we get out of there like 1:45 because TNT does the post game for the last games. So we do that for Thursday and Friday. It's exhausting, but it's fun. Like you got all these screens up and you're watching all these games. It's almost like being in a bar with your boys, except you can't drink, and you're watching all these games and trying to keep up. And there's a stat broadcast, you've probably used it, where you can get the stats of all the games so you can follow them all. Because sometimes, as you know, you're doing halftime of one game, you're leading into another game, and then as soon as the earlier game ended, you got to do the post game for that game. So you got to be following all of them. The first 2 days, it gets to be really fun now because you get to watch all the games, the entire game, and talk about them.
Yeah, back when I was doing studio, I would neither confirm nor deny whether I had a beer at halftime.
I've already told my crazy recruiting story, so I can confirm I don't have beers when I'm on the
air. Hey, Jay, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Have a great time this weekend. Have a good call doing the studio, and hopefully we can catch up with you again at some point. But I do appreciate your time.
Great being with you, buddy. Hope I get out there and see you soon.
All right, absolutely. When you do, come out and say hi. Thanks, Jay.
Got it, buddy.
All right, take it easy.
Take care, Tom.